This question focuses on enterprise risk management, (ERM), concepts, specifically how risk behaves even after controls are implemented. The key statement is, even though a company implements an enterprise risk management program, it still is likely to have risk. The important idea is that risk cannot be completely eliminated. Even after an organization applies risk controls, policies, and mitigation strategies, some level of risk will always remain. The question is asking us to identify the correct term for the risk that remains after risk treatment and controls are applied. So we must distinguish between risk before controls, risk after controls, types of risk classification in ERM. 2. Choice section. Analyze and explain to students the choices and choose correct answers. Tolerable risks. These are risks that an organization is willing to accept because they are within its risk appetite. However, this does not specifically refer to risk remaining after controls, so this is incorrect. B. Inherent risks. This refers to the level of risk before any controls or mitigation are applied. The question is about risk after ERM implementation, so this is incorrect. C. Residual risks. This is the correct answer. Residual risk is the remaining risk after controls, policies, and risk responses have been implemented. Even with ERM in place, some risk always remains, which is exactly what the question describes. D. Uninsurable risks. These are risks that cannot be transferred to insurers, but this term does not describe risk remaining after ERM controls, so it is incorrect. Correct answer. C. Residual risks. This question focuses on the classification of business risks arising from poor decision-making in product development and market strategy. The key issue is that a company, known for innovation, revised an existing popular brand without conducting sufficient market research. The absence of market research indicates a failure in understanding customer needs, demand trends, and competitive conditions. This directly increases the likelihood of launching or modifying a product that may not align with market expectations. From a risk management perspective, we are asked to identify which types of risk are exposed. The key clue is innovation plus revised brand plus insufficient market research, which signals poor strategic planning and weak execution processes, rather than financial default or physical loss events. 2. Choice section. Analyze and explain to students the choices and choose correct answers. Credit risk and strategic risk. Credit risk relates to the risk of non-payment by borrowers or counterparties. There is no lending or receivables issue mentioned, so credit risk is irrelevant. Strategic risk is relevant, but pairing it with credit risk makes this option incorrect. B. Hazard risk and credit risk. Hazard risk refers to physical events like fire, theft, or natural disasters. Nothing in the scenario suggests physical loss events, so this is incorrect. C. Operational risk and hazard risk. Operational risk involves internal process failures, which could partly apply due to poor market research. However, hazard risk is again unrelated, making this option incorrect. D. Strategic risk and operational risk. This is the correct answer. Strategic risk arises from poor business decisions, such as failing to conduct market research before a product revision. Operational risk arises from inadequate internal processes, such as weak product development procedures and decision controls. Correct answer. D. Strategic risk and operational risk. This question is about risk classification in a business context, specifically identifying primary and secondary risks faced by an online retail company. The key facts are: a German clothing retailer operating mainly online and selling globally. Primary risk: problems with its online website. Secondary risk: exchange rate volatility. The key skill tested is distinguishing between operational risk, internal systems/process failures, and financial risk, market-related financial fluctuations such as exchange rates. We must match each described risk to the correct category. 2. Choice section. Analyze and explain to students the choices and choose correct answers. Strategic risk, financial risk. Strategic risk relates to long-term business decisions, e.g., entering markets, business model choices. Website problems are not strategic. They are operational. So this option is incorrect. B. Hazard risk, operational risk. Hazard risk refers to physical events like fire, theft, or natural disasters. Neither website failure nor exchange rate risk fits hazard risk, so this is incorrect. C. Operational risk, hazard risk. Operational risk correctly fits website problems, system failures, IT outages, cybersecurity issues. However, exchange rate volatility is not hazard risk. It is financial risk. So this is incorrect. D. Operational risk, financial risk. This is correct. Website problems represent operational risk, as they arise from internal systems and processes. Exchange rate volatility is a classic financial risk, as it affects revenue and costs due to currency fluctuations in international trade. Correct answer: D. Operational risk, financial risk.